Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're in Parshas Boy. We're continuing the Hachaim. We're in Perek Yud, Pasuk Beis. In the first pasuk in this week's parsha, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, go to Paro and tell him to let Klal Yisrael go out, and if not, I'm going to bring another Makkah. But Hashem already pre-warns Moshe Rabbeinu not to expect Paro to let Klal Yisrael go out, because Kani Irvadeti is Liboy. Because Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, I already hardened his heart, and he's going to refuse you. He's going to play the same games as he played before, but he will not let Klal Yisrael go out. Why? The pasuk says, why am I doing all this? In order that I can put these oisos, these signs, bikirboy within him. Seemingly, Pashup Shat would seem to be in order to punish him. And he should know that he messed with Hakadosh Baruch Hu and is getting punished. Comes the second pasuk and says another reason. Ulaman, and also a second reason why I brought the Makkos, to saper b'ozne bincha ben bincha, so you can tell your children, your son and your grandson, it's allowed to be Mitzrayim. The nisim, the miracles that I made in Mitzrayim. That's another reason. But before we get to the Hachaim that already asks, why do I need two reasons for bringing the Makkah, we have to point out that we translated the word hisalalti as miracles, nisim, because that's how Targum Onkelos translates the word hisalalti as nisim. Rashi and most Mefarshim seem to explain that the word hisalalti, yes, means nisim, but means nisim that embarrassed and made fun of Paro. And it's important to point out that Nukuda, that point, we're going to see that plays a little bit in the Hachaim Hakadosh. Tzarech ledas is the Hachaim. Le'eze inyan hu tzarech letam zeh. Why do I need this reason that I brought the Makkah, said Hashem, to tell your children? Lehispik b'tamarishan. It was not enough with the first reason that Hashem gave to Moshe in the first pasuk to punish Paro. Why do I need another reason? Why do I need to know that I embarrassed Klal Mitzrayim? And the signs, the oisos that I gave. It seems to be shenir shem shnei dvarim. It seems to be that there are two things that happened here. Number one, there were Makkos, and the way the Makkos came about. Those two nukudos, those 2 points are very important. Hakadosh Baruch Hu seems to be telling Moshe Rabbeinu in the story that we're going to tell to our children over the generations. You have to know Es Asher Salalti and Ves Oisoisai Asher Samti Bikirbam. What do I have to know that for? Oitzorach Ladas. Why does it say V'yadatem? That you should know that I am Hashem. It seems to be that the whole thing that Hashem did all this, V'yadatem ki ani Hashem. So says Hachaim, say right away, very simply, I put these Makkos in Mitzrayim, that you should know that I am Hashem. Ochin kavonas hakosafi, that Hachaim is actually telling us that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is giving Moshe Rabbeinu instructions how to ensure that throughout the generations, Klal Yisrael will not forget Yetzias Mitzrayim. One of the most important things that we say many times a day, especially by Shema, we say it on Shabbos, we say it by Erev Yom Tov, Zeicher Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's like one of the most fundamental things that we say constantly. Zeicher Yetzias Mitzrayim. Obviously, why? Because that's the most important day, Kamat, one of the most important days in Klal Yisrael, right? The whole ability to get the Torah, to go to Eretz Yisrael, to build the Beis Hamikdash, and everything that has happened to us only came about because Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. In addition, as we're going to see, the great miracles that Hashem performed for us in Mitzrayim was a sign for us, as the Hachaim is going to explain, that we need to take with us throughout the Golus. The Ramban says that Hashem changed the Teva specifically for us to know once and forever that He is Hashem. Hashem gave us Kaviyochel, the famous Moshel, the diploma. Now you have my diploma, you Kaviyochel know what I can do, and you have to transmit this to your generations, La'olam Voed. And this instructions on how to do it is given in this pasuk. Don't think that the main reason that I'm bringing these Makkos is to punish Mitzrayim. It's not really true. The main reason that I'm bringing these Makkos is for Klal Yisrael. To strengthen these oisais, which through these oisais are a conduit to elevate Klal Yisrael's emun and betachan. Klal Yisrael at that moment, before the Makkos began, were on the lowest level of tumah. They were sunken into the lifestyle of Mitzrayim, and just to take them out and give them the Torah wouldn't help. Every Makkah was designed in a way that they could see Gilui Hakadosh Baruch Hu. The more a person sees Gilui Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the more he comes close to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the more he recognizes that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is the manig of the whole world. Hakadosh Baruch Hu created Yesh Me'ayin. And every Makkah shows another level of Hashem's ability to direct and to control the world as He sees fit. It's true, Hashem set up a certain Seder in the world, but if Hashem wants, as the Gemara says, the one who said, let fire light, Rabbi, right, says that mustard can light, or vinegar can light. There's no stira. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu can determine whatever He wants. That was proven to us through the 10 Makkos, and that's the main purpose of the Makkos. Kedei she'iroshu bal yishachach lenetzach. So they would be permanently etched in their hearts and minds. Ki k'sheyir b'kirba shel paroi, for placing them in paroi, yib zichorim b'nei Yisrael lo elavoid. Klal Yisrael would remember forever. And they would remember, oh, you saw what Hashem did to Paroi Mitzrayim, you saw what Hashem did to Egypt, you saw what Hashem did to the animals, to the fields, to the darkness, to the river. It will be something that will be spoken forever. However, to ensure that Klal Yisrael would always remain and remember and to speak over the nisim that happened, you need a couple of factors. And now the Hachaim is going to explain. V'hakavona. How do we ensure that we will never forget the Makkos? Not just, the Hachaim points out, the Yetzias Mitzrayim. The Makkos themselves are a very important focal point in strengthening our emun and betachan. As it says in Masechtas Chulin, a very interesting halacha. There's a concept called a ben pekua. Without getting too sidetracked, if you shecht a female cow, and when you shecht open the cow, you find another cow, you do not, and if the cow is alive, you do not have to shecht the baby calf. That's called a ben pekua. We're not going to get into the reason for it right now, but basically the shechita that's done on the mother is good enough for the baby. And therefore, you don't have to shecht the baby calf in order to eat it. You can kill it in any other manner. This, by the way, was a big machlokes that Yosef had with his brothers, because they seem to have been eating ben pekua, according to some shotim. Yosef did not see them shechted. He thought they were eating the veil and treifus. They weren't. Now, the problem with that is that me and you who are seeing this happen, we don't know necessarily that it's a ben pekua. So in order for us to be able to eat a ben pekua without having to do shechita, you have to have two factors. It's called two things are mufla'im. Two things that are extraordinary, that are unusual, that will say, oh, you know why he's eating that without a shechita? Because it's a ben pekua. There was a time in the last 30 years that there was a movement to create ben pekua farms. And the purpose for this is that you don't have to have shechita. If you don't have to have shechita, you don't have to check for simanim. And technically could solve a lot of problems. The Chachamim, however, felt that this was not good, as the Hachaim is going to point out, because people will forget that you actually have to shecht. And if you don't have a ben pekua, right, if you don't have this situation, you have a regular cow that was not a ben pekua, you would not know that you would have to shecht. So therefore, v'akavona al zeh derech oimram b'masechtas kulim b'din ben pekua kim yeh bo shnei dvarim hamuflon yeh musketomet. Right? Then normally, even a ben pekua has to have a shechita midrabanan. Right? Again, just to make sure we have it clear, a ben pekua is if you took a female cow, you shechted it lehalacha, and as you're opening up the cow, you find a baby calf, and it's alive, you don't have to shecht it. The Chacham said you do have to shecht it. Why? Because we're afraid that people are going to forget, or people will suspect, or people will think you're allowed to eat nevelos and treifus. However, if it has two extraordinary characteristics, right, then you don't have to do it. One of the things is that both of its hooves and its mother's hooves are connected, which is an unusual thing, then people understand that this is not a regular cow and there's something to it. And therefore, when it has two simanim that are unusual, and people see that Reuven is eating this ben pekua, they will not suspect that he's eating without shchita. Because people will know what exactly was the story behind it, and this is a ben pekua calf. So again, just to make sure we have it clear, Reuven takes a female cow, properly shechts the cow. As they're opening up the cow, they find a live baby calf. Doesn't make a difference, male or female. Min HaTorah, you do not have to shecht this baby calf. You can kill it. You don't have to check for simanim. It's 100% kosher to eat. That's called the ben pekua. The soidus, the secret, the Kabbalistic reasons for this is above the shir at the moment. The Hachaim, however, decreed, as we mentioned already, that you must shecht the animal. Right? Whether or not you have to make a bracha is a discussion. Mistam or not. Why? Because we're afraid two things. Number one, as the Hachaim points out, people won't know that this is a ben pekua. And people will be afraid that you're eating a nevelis and treifus. And they may come to learn that you could eat a nevelis and treifus, and they may come to learn you don't have to shecht. In addition, right, same idea, you may come to take a regular animal that's not a ben pekua and eat it without shechting it. If, however, it has two unusual simanim, which the Gemara discusses what are those simanim, then people know that this is an unusual cow, or a calf, to be more precise, and if you're eating it, it's because it's a ben pekua, and it did not require shchita. Kitrei timihi, two wonders, the Hachaim teaches us a yisoid, mitka dekiri. Something that's unusual always stands out in people's mind. Right? One of the ways to remember something is try to associate it with something that's very unusual. Now, if you have two unusual things, it's even better. Through the makas, if Hashem just would have performed certain nisim, that he controls the wind with the ruach, and the water with the dam and the dust, and the eish ubavir kedoima, in the maspik sheizachar adavar b'tmidus lo'olam lachak. It will not be enough that we should forever remember what Hashem did. There's a famous story that the Chazon Ish always used to say, and I think also, if I'm not mistaken, Chatzkel used to say also. He said in their times there was a dibuk, and the dibuk told certain secrets to people. So people saw that this dibuk knew what he was talking about, and he had a shaykhis to the alamas. He spoke about malachim, he spoke about Hashem, he spoke about different things. This is not to be confused with the famous dibuk in the times of Rabbi Chanan. And it was people were mamish bepachad noira, right? They had this, so to speak, revelation that there really are malachim, and there really is an olam emes, and there's really Gan Eden and Gehenna. And the Chazon Ish said to himself, wow, tomorrow Shachris is going to be Lain Lavoyed. He says tomorrow when he went to the marketplace, the tailor was the same tailor, the shopkeeper was the same shopkeeper, the chicken man was the same chicken man. What happens is that normal life kicks in. It's true for a few days people get reawakened, but eventually the whole hullabaloo of normal life and the nature of waking up, running to work, back and forth, you don't have time to think, takes over, and all this is forgotten. So too Kaviyachol says, the Hachaim, one ois is not enough. By combining the makas with a second unbelievable thing, ki yafli Hashem lahara espalei, which also made the suffering and power unbelievable. So not only people will say, oh, did you see the miracle that Hashem did with Barat? He combined water and fire together. And then they will say, look how much it punished Paroi. Look at all the fun that Hashem made at Paroi and Mitzrayim, which Hashem did not do to any other nation. So these two nisim together, the nisim of the makas and the tsaros and the tsar that Paroi went through, would forever be etched in the memories. And now you can understand the sweet words of the pasuk. The Hachaim always beautifully has poetic words, how he explains certain things. A regular story eventually would be forgotten. Right? However, if in the story you say two wonderful things, two unusual things. This that I made fun of Mitzrayim, the great suffering that they suffered. If Hashem even made them extra suffering, it would not have been enough. So therefore, the Hachaim explains that Hashem had to do two things. Number one, He had to show the great miracles and the great control and the great bilus ownership that Hashem has in the world. And the second thing Hashem had to do was the great punishment on Mitzrayim. Those two together would be the ability, will give the ability to every father to give over to his kids every year. And that's when you look at the Haggadah, you have to see very much what these 2 points are brought out very well in the Haggadah, where Hakadosh Baruch Hu tells, where we tell our children what Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the great miracles of the Makkos that Hashem performed, and it's the punishment that Parah got and the Mitzrayim got for what they did. V'chein timtzeh k'shedibri ton Hashem Baruch Hu Bar Sinai, the Hachaim says a beautiful point. He says, what was Hashem's first thing, the first commandment that Hashem gave? Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Now, I didn't say Anochi Hashem Elokecha that I created this world. Anochi Hashem Elokecha that I made you into human beings. Rather, it says Anochi Hashem Elokecha. How are you going to know that I am Hashem Elokecha? Like we said in this pasuk, by telling over the Makkos and taking out of Mitzrayim, Asher Seisicha mi Eretz Mitzrayim. Uhu shehiktin dvar kam va'amar v'yedatem ki ani Hashem. That by saying over the story in Mitzrayim, you will be able to fulfill the first makkah of Anochi, of first commandment of Anochi Hashem Elokecha. The whole purpose, as we brought down in this pasuk of the makkahs, is for us to give over to our children that Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, and by understanding what Hashem did for us and what He did, the miracles of the makkahs, how He controlled every part of the universe, from that you will know Ki Ani Hashem Elokecha. And through that, you will be able to understand the first makkah, which is all linked. As it says, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, that what? Asher Seisicha mi Eretz Mitzrayim. By knowing these pratim, we will be able to be mechazik our emunah, as we brought down, what our Hachaim mentions, that the ikar point of the makkahs is lachazek ho'amunah b'leiv Yisrael. And this was the message that Hashem was giving over to Moshe Rabbeinu. The purpose of all this, yes, a side benefit was to punish the Mitzrayim and Parah, but ultimately it was for us. As the famous Chafetz Chaim said, that there was a great earthquake in Japan and in China. He said, this is a message for us. Everything that Hashem does in the world, we have to look, right, as the Mashgiach always used to say, the Mashgiach Rav Wolfson used to say, we have to take off our fleischige Augen, we have to take off our, physical eyes and put on the Hakadosh Baruch Hu glasses and look through the lens how Hakadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. What is the message for us? And mitzvus that Hakadosh Baruch Hu should continue to perform nisan for us for the ultimate geula v'yas Mashiach Tzidkenu.